Hi, my name is Greg. This is a very short video walkthrough of CLAVIER-36 or C36. We'll be creating a very small musical program together, and I just want to show you some of the functions that it has. But there's a lot more to explore, and I recommend that you explore on your own, read the manual, and just mess around. So let me click here to start it. I'm using the web version, but the desktop version is very similar. In this grid, I will place an operator. And to do so, I'll just type using my keyboard. I'm going to type Shift-C. It doesn't really matter where you place it. It could be anywhere in the grid, and you can click anywhere in the grid and use the keyboard arrows, but that's where I decided to place my clock. So my clock is clocking. You can see the output of the clock right underneath it. And you can also see that there's two cells that are a little bit gray. And this shows you that these are the inputs to the clock. So this input, as you can see on the right, is the period, and this input is the interval. So what I'll do now is in the period, I'm going to enter the digit 3. And so you probably already noticed what happened. The clock now only goes through 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, while as before it was looping through a wider range of values. So the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to place an equal operator right here. And then, as the other input that's missing, I'm going to press or type 0. So now what's going on, as you've probably already understood as well, is that the clock is clocking, the period is 3, these digits are changing as the program is playing, and then the equal operator is comparing the two inputs, and whenever they're equal, it will produce what's called a bang, or as you'll see it as an exclamation point. And this bang is what will give a signal to do something, typically to make a sound or tell the sample player to play a sample. So right underneath the bang, let's actually type the X operator. So Shift X. And you should be hearing that. Every time there's a bang, the X, which is a sample player, is playing. Now, I'm going to pause it just by pressing my spacebar. And I'll just show you really quickly that instead of using the clock and the equal, you can delete all of that by just pressing delete. And you can actually just go one to the up and one to the right of the X operator and place a P operator. And then I'm going to, again, write in 3 right here. And I'll press the spacebar to restart the program. And it's the exact same thing. So the P operator, or the pendulum, is doing exactly what we had before. So it's a clock, and internally, using this period, it will generate bangs on a cycle. Okay, so that's very fun. Let's now look a little bit at the X, or the sample operator. So I'm going to restart my program. Again, I'm paused, as you can notice here, bottom right, but I'll press my spacebar. Here we go. And now, all of these gray cells are also inputs. So the sample index, by default, it's 0. And that's why it's playing the sample 0, which you can see just at the very, very top left a little bit. Oh, sorry, didn't mean that. But there's other inputs. There's the start time, the volume, attack, etc. So in the release, let's press the value. Let's type in the value S. S as in Sam. And you most probably heard that there's a big difference there. All right, let's do some other more fun things. So first of all, well, not first of all, but as we're kind of more exploring the sample operator now, let's actually do something else. Let's take the input that's right here that I'm highlighting. It's the pitch one, right? So it's the pitch input to the X. Let's go one above, and then let's press Shift R. And R is a random operator. So it will generate random values underneath. So let me start. Again, I'll press my spacebar and let's hear what that sounds like. All right, that was pretty nice. But the random values are kind of random and they can kind of go a little bit all over. So instead of that, let me, instead of R, use the quantize operator, which I got by pressing Shift N. And then I will go one to the left and one above, and then add that random operator again, Shift R. And let's hear the difference. So instead of just having a completely random pitch, now the pitch is, the random value is actually being transformed into a semitone of the major scale. So it just sounds a little bit less completely atonal. All right, so that's a pretty interesting thing that we could just let go and it would play. But let's actually add a second voice. Because there's a random operator, really this whole block that I'm going to select using, so I'm holding the Shift key and I'm just moving using my arrow keys on my keyboard. I'm going to take all of this and I'll do Command C, plain old Command C. I'll go down a little bit and then I'll do Command V. And so now I copy pasted exactly, it's the exact same sort of program, but again, because there's two random operators, they're not going to sound the same. So let's listen to what it sounds like. Okay, I'm going to pause it here. There's a lot to explore. The BPM is something you can control here at the bottom left by pressing with your mouse and changing the value. As you can guess, there's a number of operators that actually my face is hiding right here. There's even something very, very cool in that, as you saw, we were placing operators sort of right above or underneath where the values would go, but you don't have to do that. You can actually have an operator such as the random operator right here, and then by pressing the Command key, so I press the Command key, I'm holding it, and now I'm dragging, and I'm going to let go, and now what's going to happen? It's the exact same thing as before, but as you can notice, now my random operator is creating these random values here, and they're being sent through this virtual data line. And you know, the data line doesn't have to be vertical. You can do things like this. You can do things like this. So as you can imagine, it opens up a very, very wide range of possibilities. Have fun, explore. You can't break anything. And that's it for this very short walkthrough of Clavier 36. Bye.